So look, what I'm going to go over with you guys today is a step-by-step process that I've used with my clients to take their pages from 0 to over 1,200 followers in under 90 days, not even tapping into their sphere of influence. Jesus Christ, weird word to say. Anyway, before I jump into that, do me a huge favor. Click the little red button. I think it's down there. Click that button to subscribe and leave me a comment below after you have a chance to check this out. Let me know if this has been useful. And look, I'm going to actually tell you this, and I want you to hold me accountable to this. If you watch this video and you do exactly what I say in this video, and after 90 days you do not have 1,200 or more followers, I personally, this is scary. This is scary. I personally will compensate you for whatever you spent on advertising. Now, there is a caveat to that. You have to follow this process step by step, and you have to be consistent. If you ran ads and then stopped and then ran ads and then stopped and you didn't do this way, I'm just going to be like, hey, look, man, here's where you messed up and I'll help you to fix it, but I'm not going to compensate you. Now, if you do exactly what I say in this video and it doesn't work after 90 days of running ads continuously at $5 a day, by the way, $5, that's all this takes. You are not at 1,200 followers or more, I will compensate you myself. So what is that? 150, I'll pay you the 450 bucks. So look, here is the method for doing this, and here's how you can set yourself up for success. What you're going to need to do, I'll throw the link below, is go to facebook.com/ads manager. If you don't have an ads manager account set up, make sure to set that up. And then when you are in there, you are going to click on the button over on this side of the screen that says, this might be reversed, so it might be over here. On this side of the screen that says create. You create, and then you create an engagement campaign. There'll be a little button right in the middle of the screen on the next screen that says engagement. Now when you scroll down at the very bottom of the page, what there's going to be there is 3 different options. You can go for page likes, you can go for post engagement, or you can go for whatever the third one is that I have never used for any reason because it hasn't been necessary. So you're going to run a page like campaign, because the thing is, if you jump into running ads and your first goal is let's generate leads, you're going to get very low quality leads. They're going to be people that you call and call and call and shoot emails to and text message and do all kinds of stuff and really get nowhere with. You want to start by building your presence first, because that allows you to show people who come to your page that you have some level of authority. They're going to say this page has about 1,000 followers or 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 followers. They're going to assume because you have that many followers that you are an authority in your industry and that you know what you're talking about. Now, after that first step of deciding you're going to run a page-like campaign, you're going to set the budget at $5 a day. That's going to take you to a second screen. Now, this is where you create your ad set. And if you haven't watched this yet, there's a video that I will also throw the link to below that I go over how to identify who your ideal client is, so that you can then create content that is going to resonate with them. So if you haven't watched that yet, feel free to pause this, go watch the other video. It's only about 10 minutes long, and I'm going to give you in that video step by step what the questions are you need to answer in order to understand who it is you're actually advertising to. Before you do any marketing, any advertising of any sort, you need to know who it is. So assuming you have identified who your ideal client is, then in the ad set, that second page, what you're going to do is you're going to target them. You're going to throw in the location, the age, then you're going to throw your detailed targeting in. And that's going to be interests, behaviors, and demographics. Those are the things that are going to allow you to make sure that when you run this ad, it is being shown to the kinds of people that actually want what you have to offer and are going to resonate with you as a person. So if you did what you saw in the ideal client video, you've already identified them and you have your avatar written up and you have an understanding of what problems they have and you want to target, the next step is the third part of this, which is the creative part. Now, the way you want to do this in order to guarantee that you have success over the course of the next 90 days isn't to just run one ad and hope for the best. The way to do this is to prepare yourself to test 1 to 2 ads every single day for the first 7 to 14 days. And you want to run the ad for the day or the 2 ads for that day. And at the end of the day, you want to see how much it cost you per page like. Now, in order to hit over 1,200 followers in that 90-day period, what you need to be looking for is a 50% or less per page like metric. Now, when it comes to doing that, if you're in the business of making money, you want to make sure that you're getting as close to between 10 and 20 cents as possible. A lot of the time when I have people that I've talked to that have done this themselves, they can usually get between 40 cents and 50 cents. And at that price point, that's not a bad deal because you're paying 40 or 50 cents to stay in front of somebody for as long as they're on Facebook. As long as they are still following you, you only paid 40 cents to get in front of them for free for the rest of time forever, right? So doing that process during the first 10 to 14 days is what is going to set you up for success over the course of the total 90 days. And it's going to give you an idea of what things are actually resonating with the people you're trying to market to. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples so you have an idea of how to do this. What is the first thing you do when you meet a new client? You introduce yourself, right? You introduce yourself and you shake their hand. You say, hey, my name is Joe Real Estate, and I heard you were looking for a home, blah, 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 right? The difference between real life and the internet is that there is no difference between real life and the internet. When you put your first pieces of content out using advertising, you want to have a quick 1 to 2 minute video that illustrates to them that you honestly and genuinely want to help them and brings 2 things to their mind. 1, that you're a relatable human being, and 2, that you know something they don't and they want to know more of. The best format I've found from the last 3 years of studying this, the last 3 years of working with mentors, and the last 2 years of working with clients is creating a brand story. Why did you get into the business? Tell the story of where you were at before, where you were at when you got started, and what you found has been extremely valuable. And if you're a reader, I would highly recommend reading a book called Building a Story Brand. They break down basically these 7 pieces of what make up a story. It'll completely ruin movies for you for the rest of your life. But the good thing about this is you'll understand it and you can formulate a story very quickly that you can then repeat to people in 45 seconds to a minute. The second part of that video, now that they know who you are and they have a relatable story, they can say, wow, this guy was doing this and he hated it and he was miserable. And his friend Jim stepped in and said, hey, I'm doing this real estate thing. You should check it out. And then he decided to check it out and he found that he absolutely loved it. But what he really learned was that he had an opportunity to help people blank, right? Easy format to tell a story in, and it took less than 30 seconds for me to say all of that. Now with your story, obviously it'll be closer to 45 to 60 seconds because you'll have to fill in the blanks there. But the thing is, once you've told that story, what will happen typically, as long as you're not like a really just boring, just hanging around kind of guy, I just sell houses and stuff. As long as you're not doing that in your video, people are going to resonate with it. And so what's going to happen is they're going to be paying attention because this is relatable. The second part of that is bringing attention to a problem, either that they know they have, but they haven't found the solution to because they've either been too busy or whatever the situation, or that they don't know they have. So with regards to real estate, when it comes to buying a house, right? People don't know anything about interest rates. People don't know anything about how inventory affects their ability to negotiate. People don't understand how easy it is because of the different loan programs available to actually get into a house. A lot of people don't know that you can buy a house for the same amount of money that you're spending already on rent. And a lot of times do that with 3% or 0% down, right? There are a bunch of different ways to tackle this. And when you are using this in a video, what you want to do is at the end of the video, bring attention to this pain point and solve it. No call to action. What will happen is people will like and comment on the post itself, which you can then go in and invite them to like your page, and people will actually click the button to like your page right on that post. When you're doing this, the reason you go about doing it this way, instead of just showing a listing of your house and telling people, shoot me a call if you're interested, is people know you want them to buy a house. People know that you want to make money. They can see that your name is Joe Realtor. They know. They don't need you to tell them. They know how to buy. The thing that you need to do is you need to create a separate person from all of the competition, because after looking at thousands of real estate websites, thousands of real estate Facebook pages, one of the things I can tell you is all of your competition right now are currently doing the exact same thing. And if you don't believe me, go look at 10 real estate websites, go look at 10 real estate social media pages. They're almost identical. You could not even be that good at talking to people on camera and still win, because you're at least giving them something they can relate to. If there is some emotion in your story, that will absolutely kill your engagement rates. Like, it's just going to be 10 times better. And to give you an example, I saw something the other day, and it was the one thing on this person's page that absolutely blew it out of the water. Everything else was the same as what you would see on any other real estate page, but it was a story about how she had helped her sister to remodel her sister's house because she had a remodeling connection, and how, she was sad to see that it was going because there were so many great memories there, but she was so happy for the client that had bought it because now they had a place that they could create memories in, right? And it's extremely relatable. There's an emotion tied to that, right? Everybody knows what that bittersweet emotion feels like, right? When you have to say goodbye to something that you love, but saying goodbye to it means that somebody else's life is about to get 10 times better, and you are not losing anything because you already had that, right? People can relate to that. When it comes to your story, having that emotion in there is going to allow people to relate. They're going to be able to say, hey man, I actually really like this dude or this chick or whoever you are. And then when you give them some kind of value where you're saying, hey, look, by the way, right now and be specific, in San Marino, in Portland, Oregon, in Seattle, in Dallas, in New York, in Buffalo, in Miami, wherever you're located, say in Miami, it is actually more affordable right now for you to buy a house because of how low interest rates are. And in case you don't know, that basically just means you're going to save tens of thousands of dollars on buying a house. And it's going to be cheaper every month than what you're paying in rent right now. Bringing attention to the things that people don't know that they're thinking about already, right? If you understand who your ideal client is, you can then figure out what it is that they're thinking that's keeping them from buying the house they've always wanted. So that first part, being the story, has to have some kind of emotion. It has to follow a familiar format. If you're not used to this, like watch Star Wars or watch like Moneyball or some of these other movies. They basically show the exact format. You watch it and you're like, okay, I could create my story the same way these movies were told. And I don't necessarily need to be as successful as Star Wars, but if I'm at least more successful than everybody else, I'm going to be at a huge advantage. The second part, being the value, is what allows them to see that you don't just care about them buying or listing their house with you, but you actually care about them. And not having a call to action in the video allows them to see that you genuinely give a damn. Now, the cool thing about all of this is, let's say they don't like your page. They just clicked like, or they just watched the video. All of those people then are being filtered using Facebook's algorithm into a very specific group that you can then retarget. So when you go back to run ads a second and a third time, you now have an audience of people that have already voted with their fingers that they're interested in what it is you do, that they're interested in you as a person, and that they believe that you can bring value to their lives. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of technical tips. If this has been valuable to you, please do me a huge favor. Click the subscribe button. Leave a comment below. Let me know where you're struggling with this, what kinds of things are getting in the way. And I will absolutely respond to you in the comments below. But with regards to the technical part of this, you don't need to hire a camera crew. You don't have to get all this fancy lighting. I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually using light from my window. I have lights, but I don't need them because I have natural light coming in. And I don't hire a camera crew because as long as you have one of these, or like the Samsung Galaxy Note 50 or whatever they're on right now, you have a camera that works well enough. And, you know, I have a mentor that has been of huge help to me. His name is Dan Fleischman. I don't get paid anything to talk about him. He's just a great guy. And one of the things that his company does is they work with Instagram influencers. They spend about $60 million a year on Instagram influencer advertising. And I don't say that because I'm trying to hype him up. I say that because when he says something, I believe it because he has the track record to say it. So what I'm sharing with you is what he said to me, which is they pay Instagram influencers, they're paying $60 million a year for these influencers to go to hotels, go on trips, go on flights, do all these different things with these huge brands, hold their phone out and talk about it. That's what they pay for, and it works. So understand that if that's what works for these huge brands, you can absolutely do the same thing. And because you're doing it from your phone like this, it will blend into the newsfeed better. So people will feel like it is a real person talking to them, not a paid advertisement. So it immediately helps you to become somebody that they get familiar with, not on a customer to salesperson basis, but a person to person basis. Because if they've never seen you before, and the first thing they see it is you holding out your camera like this and you're talking about something, and you know they're not able to hear it, they're going to be like, who's this guy or who's this girl? And they're going to, you know, click in and they'll either listen or they won't. The cool thing is if they don't pay attention, it doesn't really affect you any because you're still going to get the followers that you need to get in order to start building your brand awareness. But the second part is they're not going to get added into the buckets of people that you're going to retarget later on. So you are always in a position that people are either going to do you a favor one of two ways. Either they're going to say, I'm part of your club, or they're going to say, I'm not. And Facebook's going to allow you to make sure that the people who are in your group so that you can target them with very specific advertisements, and that the people who aren't can be excluded very easily so that you're not wasting ad spend. But when it comes to growing your brand from 0 to 1,200 in your first 90 days, this is one of the easiest ways to go about this. Now, I'm going to actually throw in a quick bonus for you guys. There's 2 other things you can do that will help you along the way so that 1,200 isn't the cap. If you put effort into this on a weekly basis, you can actually get way above 1,200 in 90 days. I have a friend who doing this and one other thing, she actually ended up at like 5,600 people in her first 90 days. And the other 2 bonuses that I'm going to give you guys today, the first one is really simple and probably very obvious. Invite all of your friends. If you have 200 or 500 or 1,000 people that are your friends on Facebook, invite them. And if you see that they're not liking your page, message them. Just shoot them a message. Say, hey, look, I'm just trying to build up my business page. I don't really care if like you comment or anything like that, but it would be huge help if you could like my page because, and then give them a reason to care. Say, I'm trying to address this problem in my industry because there are a lot of people who don't give a damn. And I value you as a person. I understand that you care about people and don't want to see bad things happening. So by liking my page, you're going to help me to keep people from experiencing this pain, right? And you have to put some thought into all of this, obviously. But the thing is, if you bring it to them directly and you say, hey, look, like, this might not be for you, but I need your help because if not, this is the bad thing that's going to happen to these other people because you didn't take action. And the thing is, when people see something like that, they don't get defensive. Typically, if they're actually your friend, you know what they're going to do? They're going to like your page because it takes less than 3 seconds to click a like button. That's tip number one. Tip number two, and this is completely different from what a lot of the gurus out there say. A lot of the gurus out there would say, share content that's already trending and create content around what everybody else is already talking about and find out what your competition is doing and copy them. Look, that sounds great in theory and everything, but if you're trying to stand out as a brand, doing what everybody else is doing isn't going to do that for you, right? I mean, it just seems obvious to me, but I've heard so many of these like gurus, people that may even make more money than I do. They go out and they say, just copy what the more successful people are doing. Well, now you're just a copycat. And now you'll always be seen as the guy who just follows the other people around. If you're trying to establish your own brand, you need to do things differently. So the second tip beyond doing things differently is to get involved, not just in your ideal marketplaces, Facebook groups, but also get involved in your industry Facebook groups. And when I say get involved, I don't mean go join a bunch of them and do nothing. I mean, build a strategy out that you know, okay, I'm going to set an alarm on my phone. Every Thursday night, I'm going to spend 5 minutes coming up with something valuable I can add to this group on Friday. It literally takes 5 minutes to come up with the idea, and then you can post it right then and there, or you can set another alarm in your phone to go off Friday morning to post it at whatever time most people are active in those groups. Those are the easiest ways to get new followers to your page, because if you do that on a regular basis, I have a group that I'm a member of. There are 1,500 other digital marketers in this group. These are all digital marketers that are working. Most of them are in their first 0 to 6 months. And then the next largest group is in like the 6 to 12 months. And there's only like a handful of people that are beyond 12 months in their business, right? I regularly put things into this group. Now, what happens for me? Like, I'm not selling a product to these people. I am not at all even like formulating how do I build a product that I can sell to these people, because I have my market. I don't need to sell to these people because I have my market. I work with real estate agents and brokers. When it comes to my industry, the reason I'm doing what I'm doing in that group is because I know that there are people in there that need my help, that at some point down the line are going to come back to me and do something that helps me without ever necessarily intentionally trying to help me. I've had people go to my business page without me asking them and throwing a review in there just saying, Jeremy has really helped me in my business to make sure that my clients are getting results. Now, I didn't plan for that. I just knew if I help, people are going to appreciate it. If I help, I'm doing what I'm here to do. Because look, when this is all done, none of us are taking the money we make with us. None of us are taking the followers we accrue with us. None of us can like take our Cadillac to the grave. I mean, I'm sure you could get buried with it, but you're not going to be able to put any use to it, right? What good is a buried Cadillac? So understanding that and coming from a point of giving, going into these groups, even if it's just once a week, if you take the time to put something that is valuable, that has helped you to get ahead in your business, that has helped one of your other customers to get where they're trying to go, that is going to be helpful to people who may never even buy a house from you. You know, there are groups that you can join that are your target market, but some of these people are spread out all over the country and you won't be able to sell them a house. But you know what? If you're regularly posting valuable content in there, who do you think is going to come to mind if they have a family member in your area that needs to buy a house? Or if they move to your area? Or if a friend moves to, do you see where I'm going with this? Everybody is very, very interconnected. So having your brand story, providing value, that's the first thing you should do. In order to get from 0 to 1,200, you build this video out and then you want to test. Now, the way you test in Facebook Ads Manager is you run an ad with one video and the copy, that's the writing at the top. And then you run the same ad with different copy or with a different video. But one of those two needs to remain constant. That way, you know, okay, it wasn't the copy that was wrong, it was the video, or vice versa. It wasn't the video that was wrong, it was the copy. That's how you're going to be able to test to find out what's going to work best. The two bonus tips are: start with the people who know you, reach out to them directly and say, hey, you know what, liking my page is going to help me to help other people avoid this kind of pain, because there are a lot of people out there that don't really care as much as I do about helping. And then that last step, honestly, the easiest, best way to utilize Facebook, especially if you had an opportunity to watch the last FA conference earlier this year, they talked about the fact that their primary focus is going to be around groups. They want to make that the primary place that they're spending their time on, because that's where people are going when they're on Facebook. They're looking at the groups they're in. So with that being said, take the challenge. Let me know. Run ads 90 days. If you follow this step by step, after 90 days, you've spent $450. Let me do the math before I get myself in trouble. I just want to make sure. 9 times $5. Yeah, $450. You spend $450 and you do everything exactly how I said it in this video, and you don't have 1,200 followers or more, I will pay you the $450 you paid to Facebook. I'm 100% confident that this works, because I know that the math behind it makes sense. I've done this multiple times for my clients. And at the end of the day, if you watch the video, like I said, about identifying your ideal client, you're going to be in a position that you don't need to worry about this at all. 90 days from now, the biggest problem you're going to have is, how do I take this from 1,200 every 90 days to 3,600 every 90 days? Anyway, that's it for today. Like I said, do me a huge favor. If this has been useful to you, you want to make sure that somebody out there sees this, that needs to see this, because there are all these gurus out there saying, if you want to build a great brand, do what everybody else does. If you think that's important, please do me a huge favor. Click the subscribe button, because here's the thing. If you don't do it, somebody else might not do it. Somebody else might not do it. And you know what's going to happen after that? Somebody's going to get screwed. Somebody needs to hear this. You can help them to hear it by clicking the subscribe button, leaving a comment below. I'm out.